Welcome to the Things You Can't Unhear podcast. I'm your host, Maritza Barone. In this show, I will introduce you to ideas, concepts, and mindsets that will open your mind to a new world of well-being and personal life growth. Through eye-opening interviews, we elevate people in the world doing amazing things for humanity and share insights that will shift you to become the happiest, healthiest, kindest, and most compassionate version of you. This episode is brought to you by Conscious Conversations to celebrate the launch of the latest product, Money Mindset Conversation Starter Cards, which include questions to help us get clear on our financial mindset. It's such a wonderful resource for us who want to understand our financial beliefs and trigger any necessary steps to take or enhance our financial well-being. You can find out more at consciousconversations.live. Well, hello all. Thank you for joining me again today on Things You Can't Unhear. For those who don't know me, my name's Maritza Barone, and I've been doing this podcast for over 2 years now. The people that I bring on this show are absolutely life-changing for me and for our listeners, and hearing them talk in such authentic and honest and open and raw ways really strikes something within us. So I'm glad you've joined us today. And today's interview is really one to remember. I invited Jason Cunningham, known as the Money Man, to talk to us about our financial wellness during these times we are facing as a society. And I'd been listening to his podcast called Save My Business over the pandemic and really found it a wonderful and insightful resource for business. In that podcast, I warmed to Jason's mannerisms and reached out to him to chat to us about his key findings and perhaps give us some useful tips to take away. And I got that, but I also got so much more. Jason turned up to this interview fully, authentically, and honestly. And the interview took a turn into something rather special. As a seasoned media professional, having worked on The Living Room as a TV presenter and also on Triple M radio, Jason is used to turning it on for the camera or the mic. But in this chat, he also opened up to share his struggles, emotions, and difficulties he's been going through. This chat, no doubt, will resonate with many. It's been a difficult year for all of us in a variety of different ways. And each of us have been affected in one way or another. And I always say, when we share openly, we allow others to do the same and learn from our experiences. And that's exactly what Jason did today. I hope you enjoy this raw conversation with Jason as much as I did, and I would love to keep this conversation going. For anyone who needs to chat about it further, please do reach out. Welcome, Jason. Thanks for joining me on Things You Can't Unhear. Now, you are known as the Money Man, and you're probably quite a different guest to what we've had on this podcast. So I'm excited to actually bring your insights into this conversation around mindset, around purpose, around success, and maybe even give us some of your guidance on how to navigate the way the world is at the moment and make ourselves and our businesses still manage to thrive. So many of you have probably seen Jason on Channel 10's The Living Room. He is a financial commentator there. He's also heard on Triple M's Rush Hour, and he's also the co-founder and director of The Practice, which is a business and wealth advisory. So no wonder they call you the Money Man. You're also the author of Have Your Cake and Sell It Too, and the host of the Save My Business podcast, which is actually where I found you and where I've started listening to your incredible and actually quite funny insights around business. So again, thank you for joining us, and I'm sure it's going to be a great conversation.
Well, after that sort of pump up, I better not let you down. Hey, thanks for saying all those lovely things. That's really nice. You know how to make a guy feel good about himself when he's a little bit flat. But that was a really lovely introduction. Thank you for that. Where will I start? I was
Well,
listening to
I
you.
actually think we have to start at you're feeling a little bit flat. I will check in with you mentally and see emotionally how you're feeling, because I think it's important. We don't have to go straight into the business chatter. This is a chat about finding out who we are as people as well. And how are you doing really?
Well, I don't know if we're going to get too personal, but how am I? Honestly, yeah, I'm a bit flat. And I guess I guess I'm the person, or a kind of person that runs around. That's always up and about, And I guess in recent times I've had a couple of knocks, and I'm a little bit flat, and I'm doing it a bit tough at the moment. But I guess where I'm at in life, and I'm closer to 50 than I was last year. And I'm 48 years old now. And I remember back, I remember when I was a kid, I remember when my mum turned 30, believe it or not. I thought, my God, my mum is 30. And then I remember she turned 40 and I was 18 at my mum's 40th birthday. And I could not believe how old she was at 40. And now today I'm a father of twin 19-year-old boys and a 14-year-old boy. And I'm 48. And I think, gee whiz. Oh, my father would remind me that I'm 12 years off 60, but I'm 2 years off 50. So, but what I have learned as I've circled or navigated around the sun a few times is that it's okay to be a bit flat, and it's okay to be a bit down. I've had a few challenges going on in my personal life, and I in recent times I've practiced, and I haven't mastered, but I've practiced the art of meditation. And one of the things that I've been doing with my meditation teacher, who's a bit of a cool sort of funky sort of dude, right, is I've been learning to be present a lot more. And for me, a person who's built a profile, and we've built a business around, as you said, being the money guy, and there's a few key core principles and fundamental principles that I'd share with you and your listeners that I think are reasonably decent takeaways. But, for mine, as an accountant and a forward thinker, I'm always worried about the future. So prepare now, make hay while the sun is shining, Jason, and put some away and all that sort of stuff, because I'm an avid believer that the more income we earn, the more we spend. And so the best way to get ahead is take some money off yourself, And if you earn $1,000 a week, you'd find a way to spend $1,000 a week. If I took $100 off you and gave you and your family $900 a week to survive, you'd find a way to survive off 900. It's just a simple universal principle. And so I was forever thinking about the future. And my mum used to say to me, Jason, stop and have a smell of those roses in the front garden, I'm like, Mom, you don't understand, And I was like this the whole way through, year 12. No, Mum, you don't understand. You've never done HSC. You've never done year 12. You don't understand, Mum, And then I get to uni. Mum, you don't understand university. You haven't done a degree. And then, and all this sort of stuff. And now, I lost my mum almost 3 years ago. And one of the legacies that she left with us and the blessing is Jason, coming to the present. And I think that's a gift that she gave me. So when I am a bit flat, and one of the reasons why I am a bit flat, because I didn't meditate yesterday, I didn't meditate this morning, and I'm feeling a bit flat. My son's having a bit of a tough time with his girlfriend, and I can feel his energy, and without sort of getting all, accountants shouldn't talk about energy. I know we should talk about debits and credits and BAS statements and financial statements, but I believe in energy, and I could just feel it, and I'm just a bit down.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And you know what? The more men who speak vulnerably like that is so powerful. And you know what? While you're saying it, I'm feeling a bit flat too. I'm feeling really uncertain with life at the moment, and lots of different things going on. And it's okay for us to share this, right? It's okay for us to not be, oh yeah, I'm great and happy all the time, because it's not the truth. And you're bringing comfort to people out there by initially, like, just jumping straight off the bat and admitting how you're feeling. I think we should both do a meditation after we finish this, because I missed mine this morning as well, and I'm feeling a ball of anxiety in my chest for a number of different reasons as well. So, have you been meditating long?
I think I picked that up in about November last year. I had this real bad run of outs, right? I don't know, but I had this real bad run of outs. We had a guy come into our business. We merged our business with a guy who promised the world and delivered an atlas, right? And he wasn't necessarily telling a full book of truths, if you like. He had 2 surnames and all this sort of stuff. And we got ripped off a significant amount of money. Now, as a male with an ego, and my ego's slightly bigger than most, around about the size of the MCG there. So, I sort of took a bit of a dent. I'm a money guy, I'm a business advisor, and we bought into a business that was no good. We did a few things. We ripped the Band-Aid off pretty fast. We pulled it off in about 10 months, and financially, though, it hurt us a big number, like $1 million, right? So, whoa, ouch, that hurts. And then my mum died. Like a couple of months later, I'm like, oh man, And then my wife and I separated. I'm like, oh man. And then on the same day, I lost my job on telly and radio on the same day. I'm like, oh man, how much can you take it, big fella?
Yeah.
And so I got onto this guy. I did some other work. I went to a different radio station and did some work there. And anyway, and I mean, it's not really my job, right? It's my job is I run a business and personal wealth advisory firm. We got 60 employees. We've got a great business, turnover $12 million. It's pretty cool. Been doing it for 24 years. It's awesome. But on the side, and as part of building my profile and the firm's profile, did a bit of work in the media. A bit of fun. You put makeup on. You look a lot prettier when you've got makeup on than when you don't. It's pretty cool. Guys don't often get the opportunity to wear makeup, but when you go on TV, you wear makeup, and I you fly up to Sydney and you get in the studio and everyone's running around after you. People are giving you food, and the amount of
breaks
makeup
it up, right?
Yeah, you've done it. The amount of makeup, they're painting it on like it's like a Native American Indian. You know what I mean? This is freaking awesome. Look at me. Right, I nearly swore on your podcast. Sorry about that.
You can. It's fine.
Can you? Bum, wee, boobs. No. Sorry, that's like I was in grade 3. Sorry. So, put the makeup on and you go on telly and all the cameras and you're looking, and all the people in the audience, no one knows who the fuck I am. I'm just like the money guy, right? I'm there next to Dr. Chris Brown, handsome looking rooster, Amanda Keller. And then there's some guy and they go, oh, he must be somebody. So you get this 15 minutes of fame, right? You walk out of the audience, the warm-up guy cheers you up I go, you high five people. Then they walk and the wardrobe people, the makeup people go, oh, do you want me to wash off the makeup before you get on the plane? You go, no, I'm in a bit of a hurry. You walk onto the plane, they upgrade you into business class. I don't know who the guy is. He's got makeup on. He must be important. And then if you ever fly with that TV makeup on and you've left it on for 3 hours, seriously, your skin starts to crack.
Yeah, it's
There's no oxygen coming through that. Anyway, I guess you didn't get me on to talk about that. But so I started meditation. Someone put me under this, in the universe, and she talks to you and she says, see, us boys, we need to hear, the universe needs to talk to us a couple of times before we hear what she's got to say. And you mentioned to me earlier, have you got 2 daughters? Is that right?
I do, yeah.
Yes. Lucky girl. Right, but you're married to a man?
I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so, and your husband, what's your husband's name?
Charlie,
put the toilet seat down. Charlie, put the toilet seat down. Charlie, put the toilet. I don't know if that happened in your house. That happened in my house, right? And so after the 345th time, Jason, can you put the toilet seat down? We learned to put the toilet seat down. So I had various different people who I respected, influential people say, Jason, you should try meditation. I go, me, meditation? Look at me, I'm off my head. I'm running around a million miles an hour. I haven't got time to sit down. I'll lose my mind. And I think it got to the 5th guy. And I mean, I had some people that I really respected that achieved a lot in life and seemed to coast through, And one of the guys, the last guy that said it to me was a guy called Jaden Comerford, and Jaden, I interviewed him on my podcast, and Jaden has a business called We Are Unified, and he looks after people like pretty cool rock stars like Vance Joy and Amy Shark and all these sort of violent Soho dudes, and they're clients of ours, and he hangs with Gadinsky and all this sort of stuff. But he meditates every day, and he goes, you've got to do meditation. But he took it one step further, and he emailed the meditation teacher, CC'd me on it, and said, book Jason in now, right? Yeah. So forced my hand. So anyway, when I went and did it with this dude, my God, like I did one-on-one session for a week, and that was in November. And ever since then, I just feel like I've got more time, I've got more clarity, and I'm actually in the present rather than worrying about the future. Even though, my life is uncertain at the moment, my personal life is uncertain, I'm a lot more comfortable with it I know I'm a lot more comfortable with it because I'm practicing meditation than if I hadn't.
Totally. I think it's definitely transformative in so many people's lives. Even myself, I'm learning to really, if I'm feeling stressed or anxious or, uncertain or whatever that unwanted feeling is that I'm enduring, a lot of people just go, oh, just go and have a glass of wine and chill out. I just need a glass of wine to relax.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I'm not going to have the glass of wine. I'm actually going to go and spend 20 minutes meditating first. And then if I feel like a glass of wine later, then I'll go and have a glass of wine. But generally I don't feel like it because I've calmed myself down internally. And that's why I wanted that glass of wine. So yeah, it can very much be transformative. But I'm so glad that you shared that you had endured a bit of difficulty in business and a few or more than a few knocks all at once. And during this time of the pandemic, most of us, I should say, copying knocks left, right, and center, especially in business. And that's what I love about listening to your podcast, Save My Business, is because the conversations on there have really helped to highlight what other people have gone through in industries that have taken a hammering. Like you've had Shane DeLear on, who's from the hospitality industry and obviously taken a huge hammering over lockdown periods, especially in Victoria. And then you had Tony Doherty. Gyms are another example of a huge battering that industries have taken. What have been your biggest takeaways, having these conversations and doing these interviews with these business owners who have taken such a hit over this time?
Yeah, thanks. Really good point. So we made a conscious focus on interviewing people in those industries, hospitality, gyms, entertainment, real estate. The guys that really copped it the most, we thought. And I guess there's a couple of things. I interviewed a guy, cool guy. His name's Mark the Hammer Castanini, right? And I didn't know much about him. He's a client of ours.
Sounds like a wrestler.
No, we're close. He's Australia's first world title kickboxer guy. He began the start of the MMA sort of thing, right? And here's a bloke that's been kicked in the head 100 times. And I think, oh, here we go. And I've never had some more profound advice from a bloke from this guy. And he said, Jason, he said, the challenge that we've been faced with over the last 12 months is that we can all withstand pain as long as we know when it's going to end. Right? And he goes, and one of the biggest challenges we had in Victoria is there was no end in sight, right? And if you think about all the painful things that we do as human beings, whether it's little things like getting a tattoo. I don't know if you've ever got a tattoo. I played football. We won a premiership, and I did what every other stupid adolescent, even though I was about 23 at the time, male does, is drink a few beers and get a tattoo. That freaking hurts. But there's people that go back and get tattoos over and over and over again because they know it's going to end. Giving birth. I personally have not given birth. I have been witness to my wife giving birth, and she did not look like she was having a great time during that process. And it's one of the more
what made you think that?
Well, I could just tell, and there's a bit of noise, and but it's giving birth is one of the most brutal, yet most beautiful, wonderful, frightening. This whole cul-de-sac of shit going on. But we go back for more and more and more because we know it's going to end at some point in time, and so. It's like business, right? Business is tough, and people say to me, "Oh, Jace, I say, oh, how's your business? What's the best type of business?" They go, "Give me one without any clients and without any employees. That's the business I want." But so we go through challenges with business, but we know it's going to end. And the biggest challenge we were faced with, I felt, was we could not see a light at the end of the tunnel. So, but overlay that with some of the traits of the people that managed to wade their way through the process, right? I think there's a couple of key things that are important. Resilience is one. I think, grit or metal, however you want to describe it, resilience, But I interviewed people like, Cosentino, the magician. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
I interviewed him. A cool sort of dude, right? Got his own production, and you know what it's like. You're in that space where he's got his own production team, puts together a whole show and all that sort of stuff. He went from having something like 300 gigs booked to none, right? And people go, "Oh, you could have been living off your savings." Well, we don't, because the more money we earn, we adjust our lifestyle to match the income that we earn. That's what we do as Australians, right? That's just human nature. So, but his resilience is amazing. Shane Doherty, cool bloke, big, strong, scary man from Bendigo, came down and built a gym, and he's been doing it for, I don't know, 30 years or whatever. Just spoke about resilience. And the other thing that I know about human nature or mankind is that we are adaptable. When we are forced to change, we will change. In the absence of something forcing us to change, we keep going on our merry way. Now, when I talk about mindset for business, and my first book, Where's My Money? I wrote that 12, 13, 14 years ago, was around money mindset, right? I liken making money or being successful in business to losing weight or staying in shape, right? Now, let me give you a couple of examples. What happens for most of us is that we put on a kilo a year for 10 years, and we get to the 10th year and we go, oh my God, I'm 10 kilos overweight, or I'm 20 kilos overweight, or whatever. And then you go, that's it, Jace, fat boy, you need to drop some pegs, right? But you don't realize it's this gradual build up until it gets to a point you go, oh my God, now I'm forced to change, right? The same thing happens. So in business, we keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden, bang, Victorian state government says, you need to lock your doors. You can't have any clients. People go, oh shit, now I'm forced to change. And so some of these people, this phrase, what was the big buzzword? What did they say? Pivot, right? I wanted to throw someone off the pivot. Yeah, I was going to. The next time I heard a person say pivot, I was going to throw. I'm on 10 stories up here, right? I'm going to chuck you out the window. I'm not pivoting anything. I'll tell you what you can pivot on, right? And it's not that appropriate, right? We were forced to be nimble. Now, the other thing I heard was there was also a thing that I saw in business, because some businesses were actually really successful. And I interviewed a guy called Paul Guerra, who's the CEO of the Victorian Chamber of Commerce. And he said there's a thing called success guilt, where there was people through the pandemic that were actually going really well and they felt guilty about it. Right? And so I know with our business, I reckon we worked harder than we've ever worked before. We didn't earn as much as we did because some of our clients simply had no money. Like, I remember a guy I played footy with, and he got 3 pubs, all shut, all of them shut. And right at the start, when we didn't know whether we were going to get rent relief, he had something like 70 odd employees casual. They said, just pay us our annual leave. Now, I'll tell you right now, there's no business owner that's got 70 employees annual leave just banked up in their separate annual leave bank account, ready to roll out. His wife had just gone back to study. He's got 4 kids. Mate, he was in a spot of bother, And so what do I do? Bill him? To help him with his job keeping. How do I build the guy? So it was tough, but as stupid as this sounds, and I feel a little bit guilty saying it, I actually enjoyed the experience.
Helping
financially,
people.
we were helping people, and I got to see some amazing people. I saw some really sad stories and all that sort of stuff. And, a client of mine's got 4 little cafes in the city. He's been belted to death, Unfortunately, things aren't going to be the same for him in that business, but it doesn't stop him from starting up another business. It doesn't stop them from doing something different.
There's definitely, there's been huge positives but obviously huge negatives as well. And there's been the people who have been creative enough and able enough and willing enough to actually go out there and say, hang on, I'm going to have my tantrum for 2 minutes. I'm going to cry. I'm going to kick the wall. And then I have to stand up and find a solution. And there's been people out there like Shane D'Elia, for example, who completely transformed hospitality and is thriving now with Providore and his new business. And it just reshaped the whole industry. And I think that will be something that continues going forward. It's not something that, just over the lockdown period will be the case.
what I think what Dalia has done with Providore, and for those the listeners don't know what Providore is, he put together a collection of fine dining restaurants in Melbourne and delivered to your door the ingredients so that you can cook a maha meal or you can cook a rock pool meal or the various different. It's a real cool idea. But you know why that was so successful? That wasn't about Dalia. That was about the industry.
Yes.
And you know, when we are on purpose, right, and you focus and you are crystal clear on your purpose, who do I serve and how do I serve her? Or, you know, the more you give to the world, the more comes back to you. He was that focused on, man, the industry, fine dining industry in the city is getting smashed. What can I do to help everybody? Man, he's flying. The big boy.
Yeah. And they're the stories that we love to hear. I mean, but they are few and far between. Not a lot of people have had that success during these times. And, you know, you were talking about your client earlier who had the 4 cafes and the restaurants and having to pay all these staff and didn't know where he was going to get his next dollar and pay the school fees and all of that stuff and not let his family down. The mental health impact right now is probably a bigger pandemic than what's actually going on with COVID.
Yeah, I think so. Mental health is a big issue, and I think there's been various different stages. There's some studies that have been done that when we all went into lockdown, right? And because remember I said human nature, mankind, we will change when we're forced to change. So we get used to stuff, right? So you go into lockdown and you get locked down in your house with your loved ones or on your own. I mean, you know, all that. You know, think about all those parents homeschooling. My God. Anyway. I was fortunate. Our kids were in year 12 and my youngest Blake was reasonably bright. He's in year 8 or something. But I mean, I just look at those people that had kids in grade 4 and grade 6.
Yeah, you're talking to one. You're talking to one, my friend.
My God. Just, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
But so there's a study that was done that when we get forced into lockdown, right, and then we come out of lockdown, our senses change and our awareness changes, right? And it's like, you know, when you, I don't know if you have, you maybe have, but when you go to jail, I've never been to jail, but when you go into jail and you're in isolation and then you come out, that whole assimilating back into society, because what happens is when we all went into lockdown, all our senses dial down a little bit, right? Right. So we have less light, less noise, less interaction, blah, blah, blah. Oh, sorry, they dial up to deal with the fact that it's lower. Then you come back out into the world and there's noise and what people are sort of like, you know. So, yeah, that was a big impact for people. Some people really struggled with the adjustment of, some people got used to working from home. And then we're trying to encourage our team to come back into the office. Like, but Jay, I like working from home. I go, you're cool, but we also a team and we like the notion of this incidental collaboration because that's how we can create true synergy within our organization. Because when we get true synergy, you know, through that true collaboration, the whole becomes greater than the sum of the parts, you know? So, yeah, the mental health thing is, one of my business partners doing it real tough at the moment, you know? So, but I know, and I'm no mental health expert, absolutely not. And I'm not ashamed to say that I see a psychologist because I think that is so important. Mm-hmm. So, and I've seen a psychologist, I'm 48 years old, I've been seeing a psychologist for 25 years, on and off, different psychs. Yeah, unreal. I mean, I've got a shit ton of voices going on in my head. There's a lot of people having conversations. No, but I'm joking. But I'm an anxiety sufferer, and so having conversations with a third person who's unemotionally attached to the thoughts in your head, man, that's got to. I don't care what anyone says. I think that's smart.
There used to be such a stigma behind sharing the fact that you've seen a psychologist. There's not anymore. We're dropping that. It's going. Yeah. It's gone. Yeah. There's no shame in it. And you know what? Mental health has to be your priority. Your emotional wealth, right? We don't only have to talk about financial wealth. It's emotional wealth that's so, so important.
I cannot tell you how linked being financially successful and your mental health. I cannot tell you how linked they are. I mentioned earlier, just off the top, I think I said, the more we earn, the more we spend. That is a mental capacity. I promise you, I can do. There's a whole heap of case studies that I could do with you. I'll give you another example. If I gave you $1,000 cash and I gave you a credit card with $1,000 on, you find it easier to tap and go when you're spending $1,000 on credit because you don't physically see the cash leave your purse. If I put $1,000 into your purse and you opened it up and you go, oh, and then you had to hand over 100 or 200, then you can see the balance reducing. So psychologically, that has an impact on you. They do the same thing if you've ever been to a casino and you play with chips, whether you play cards or roulette. They give you chips. It's like fake money. If you had to hand over $100 note every time you bet, you would not be in a hurry to give that money across, because the psychological impact of giving away money. So it's very much linked, right? And we are typically, it's our own inhibitors, it's our own beliefs that inhibit our growth, right? For business owners out there who, and some of your listeners will be business owners, I assume, there's a couple of things that we did when we went into business that were just psychological, that made such a drastic difference to the success of our organization. The first is we paid ourselves more. Okay. Now, what happens is most business owners pay themselves last and pay themselves enough to match the living expenses that they've got in their personal life. I've been doing tax returns and business owners accounts for 24 years, and that is what I have seen. So when Robbie and I first started business, it was on the 1st of December, 1997, we were both on the exorbitant salary of $100 a month each, right? And we turned over 60 grand. So our headline turnover for the year was $60,000 was our turnover. I think last year we did 12 million turnover, right?
Amazing.
But in our first year we did 60 grand, right? And so we're on $100 each. We went away on our first strategic planning weekend. We went up to Port Douglas. Pretty cool. We went away from our business, and all our mates were hanging shit on us. You don't even have a real business, boys. You're just sitting there doing tax return. But nah, it's a business planning weekend, get the tax deduction. Not that we needed it. We weren't making any money, right? But we went away, and one of the decisions we went was, let's increase our salary from $100 a month to $100 a week. And that's a 400% increase, $400 a month. And then each year after that, then we increased it to $250, to $500, to $1,000, to $2,000, to $3,000, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what the notion there, the mentality behind that is this: if you've got a business and you needed to hire a new team member, or you needed to move office premises, or you need to spend more on rent, or you need to buy more stock, you would find a way to generate the income to fund that. But psychologically, you leave yourself to last. So what I've always said is we increase our salary every year as directors of the business, and we will find a way to pay for it. Now, even if worst case scenario is we can always give the money back, but it's just that notion of delineating the business owner from the business and having that as two separate entities, and funding and giving yourself more money. That simple. People, business owners go, how do I make more money? I go, just pay yourself more. I go, nah, it can't be that simple, Jason. Okay, it is. Pay yourself more. Because psychologically, we leave ourselves to the end.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask. Psychologically, what happens when we do leave ourselves to the end?
Psychologically, when you leave yourself to the end, what happens is you make sure that you're the one that's working the hardest. You get in first, you leave last, you do work, you go in on the weekend. It becomes normal. Look, Saturday, I'm just going to punch out a few emails. Sunday night, I get myself ready for Monday. That's normal. It ain't normal. That book you spoke about, Have Your Cake and Sell It Too, the 7 Key Ingredients to Business Success. I wrote that book about a mate of mine, a guy I knew that we used to, there's 5 or 6 friends that would meet on a Friday at the gym. We would work out, we'd have a late start. So we'd work out, we'd do a big group PT at 8 o'clock, go through to 9, jump in the shower, go across the road, have some breakfast, and solve all the problems of the world. And I'd get to about 10:30, and I'd say I call him Macca in the book. I say, Macca, look, I've got to go off to work. He goes, where are you going? I go, mate, I've got to go to work. He goes, well, hang around, have another coffee, let's go for a walk, play a game of golf, hit squash ball around. I go, nah, Macca, you don't understand. I'm so busy. I'm so important. You've got all these clients I've got to see, and I've got meetings. And he goes, no, mate, just take the morning off. You don't understand. I go, mate, you don't understand. He goes, you don't understand. Aren't you the freaking boss? I go, yeah, I am. He goes, mate, take the day off. I go, Macca, you don't understand my industry. Anyway, so after about 2.5 years, I started to realize that Macca had worked out what was going on. Macca worked 4 hours a week. Macca had his own business, had a few businesses, made more money than God. Like I'm talking $3 million a year. And he worked 4 hours a week. 4 hours a week, all on a Monday.
Oh, you reckon your Mondays are tough? He's got a whole week jammed in there, right? But he work, you know, like you think about get to work at 10 o'clock Monday-itis. By midday, it's Wednesday hump day. 1 o'clock, it's Thursday afternoon beers, and Friday, 2 o'clock, he's gone. But he literally worked 4 hours a week on a Monday, and he had a board meeting once a month. So he had structured his business in such a way that it did not rely on him for its success. And I go, oh, is that the secret to life? And so Macca now is, he's a year older than me. He's 49. He is retired. He has 2 kids. His wife has gone back into the workforce because she's keen. She's an accountant and she loves doing what she's doing. And he is retired. He's a little bit bored. And so he often will go off and mentor other business owners. And he's just started a little project. But he's worked out the secret to life, because the challenge with most of us in business is we start a business that we are technicians of, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm an accountant, right? And so I've gone into an accounting practice, and no one can do accounting as good as me, right? Or chiropractors, or health professionals, or, you know, restaurateurs who are a chef and they go into it. You know, they start a business that's centered around their profession and their technical skills. The challenge with that is it's hard to get yourself out of it, right? And sometimes there's this notion, this guilt notion of, oh my God, my team members or my employees, or some people call them staff or whatever, are working harder than me. I need to be the hardest working. Do you really? Do you really?
These are the questions we have to ask ourselves. And then these are the learnings that we need to adapt to, because 4 hours work week, there's that book, right? That sounds like amazing delegation skills, and knowing you can trust your team and putting the processes in place in the right way. I'm sure we all dream of that amazing lifestyle balance of making money, following your passion, working and playing at the same time. There's got to be more than life than sitting at a desk for 40, 50, 60 hours a week.
Or behind a microphone, right? Let me ask you a question, right? You've worked in media, production, presenter, producer. Respectfully, there are people in the industry that can do it as good as you or better. Is that true?
Yeah, of course.
Of course. Yeah. So it's just a mindset thing. It's just a mindset. I guess in business, what's the question I think we need to ask ourselves, and I'm getting all philosophical, and I'm looking at my couch ready for my meditation after this, right? And I've got my little, look at this, what I've got, my little crystals.
Love
my God, don't tell my dad I've got crystals.
We won't tell anyone. This is just between you and I, okay?
But I don't know. So what are the key fundamental things for success, right? If you ask me, from my learnings, it's how do you show up, the leadership piece, right? So, I'm a bit flat today. I'm feeling good now. You give me some good energy through from your Fiji. Bulla energy is coming through there. I'm feeling pretty cool about that. So it's how do you show up, and what is your role? What do you bring to the organization? Now, we run a business. We got a pretty cool business, right? And we do business advisory and personal wealth advisory. I got some kick-ass accountants here that really know their stuff. I got some unbelievable financial planners. But you know what? You know the glue is? The glue is our purpose. Who do we serve and how do we serve them? And everyone in our organization is crystal clear that our business exists to help our clients achieve their business and personal goals through proactive service and ongoing advice. Man, that's what we do. So you know what? Our ethos and our belief in our purpose, the way we conduct ourselves, our behavior, our core values, which talk around our connection. Connection is really important for us. Our competency and our character. Aha! How do you show up, big boy, right? That's really important as well, right? So those 3 things that we talk about, our core values or our behavior and our why, is all about liberating people's lifestyles. Excuse me, but accounting is accounting. But your commitment to your customer, or we call them clients in the financial services industry, and it gets us really excited, thinks we're really important. But our customer or our clients, our commitment to the customer and the commitment to our profession is what we know is what sets us apart. And you know what? It's that is she a good person test? You know, is he a good bloke test? I think that's important too. And at the end of the day, you know, like we could all complain. We could. I know our parents did it harder than us. They certainly told us, and their parents did it harder than them. But I think about it, now, you and I are parents, and your girls are going through their, formative teenage years. It's going to be a challenge for you. Good luck with that.
Bracing myself.
Yeah. But, my older boys are both 19. And I think about, I think about when I was 19, I felt like I was older than they are. My circumstances were different. My parents lost their business, lost their home. We lived at my nan's house for a significant period of time. And I grew up, living in a bedroom with my mum and dad and my sister and my brother. I survived. I turned out okay, but when I was 19, I was pretty much autonomous myself, earning my own income and all that sort of stuff. Then I think when my dad was 19 and his dad and his mates, some of them were at the Vietnam War.
Exactly.
Right? And then I think about his grandfather and they went off to war at 17, right? I think, my God, life could be a lot more challenging than it is right now. Sure, we've been through a pandemic. A lot of us have lost our jobs and don't earn the income that we used to earn, and we've been locked in our houses and we're losing our mind and all that sort of stuff. But man, I tell you what, I'm not going to war. Well, I hope not. And I have a client that I've been helping out a bit lately. He's got cancer, and he's got what's called a sarcoma cancer. Now, I know a little bit about cancer. I have not had it, but I lost my mother to it. And I tell you one thing you learn about cancer, you learn a shit ton about cancer when someone close to you has cancer. And sarcoma cancer is incurable. And I have conversations with this man about how he's going to set up his wife and his kids for when he's gone. Now that, my friend, is quite humbling. Guy's got 4 months, 4 weeks, 4 months, or 4 years to live. He's not sure. So I think to myself, fuck, pandemic's been tough. I had COVID too, which was interesting.
Wow, you are the first person that I have ever met face to face that has had COVID.
Yeah, I had it. And so I was really embarrassed when I got it because I thought I was like a leper. And now I wear it like a badge of honor. I just need a chest to pin it on, right? My point to the whole story is that we can talk ourselves into and out of anything. We can talk ourselves into or out of anything. One of the beautiful things that you're doing with your podcast is you're allowing people to free their mind, to hear opinions and voices from other people, and to see it through a different perspective, a different, as we say in the POV, right? Point of view, as you say in the television industry, right? It's a different paradigm. And I guess one of the beautiful things about what's happened in lockdown has been the growth of podcasts. And now we get to listen to so many different intriguing things, and you can hear and find so many different things. But just open your ears, open your mind to hear what other people are doing, because we put the limitations on ourselves.
Jason, I had a list of questions that I wanted to ask you, financial related, and you have turned up to this interview so real, so raw, so honest, so open, and it's completely changed the direction of how this has gone. And I couldn't have asked for a better discussion with you, a better conversation. I think you've shared yourself so beautifully, and there's no shame in feeling down or feeling flat or feeling emotional or struggling. And you have all these wonderful successes behind you and all these amazing accolades, and then you have these struggles as well, and it just makes you so real. It's so relatable. And I really have enjoyed this conversation with you deeply from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, that's a lovely thing to say. Thank you. I didn't know it was going to go that way either. I thought we were going to talk about how to make money and grow a business and all that sort of stuff. And here I am having a little suki lala on the other end. No.
I tend to get this out of people somehow.
What is your power?
It's my special power. But yeah, I do really thank you. And you know what? I would love to have you on again one day to talk more about the financial side of things, and perhaps backup plans, that things that we've learned from these days that we can predict in the future, and have these plans where we can sort of safeguard ourselves to falling into the wrong traps or, dangerous traps in business. And people can look up your website. It's thepractice.com.au, I believe.
That's us.
Yep. your wealth advisory services. You've got, obviously a wealth of knowledge that you can share there as well. But feel free to connect with Jason directly. I'm sure you're going to get as much joy out of it as I did, everyone. And obviously, the Save My Business podcast is a brilliant resource for anyone who is doing it tough right now and just wanting to hear stories and that will inspire you and elevate your business success. So, Jason, thank you so much for being here today and sharing all of yourself with us.
You're very welcome. Thank you for your kind words. And I'd only be too happy to come back and talk on an area that I'm somewhat, well, apparently that I know what I'm talking about, which is money and business and stuff. But thank you so much, Maritza. Thank you for sharing the person that you are. And I think I've become a better person from getting to know you. So thanks. And I'm looking forward to our next interview.
Thank you for listening to the Things You Can't Unhear podcast. I'd love to keep the conversation going. Let us know what you thought of this episode. And if something profound came up for you that you want to share, let's talk about it. You can find me on Instagram at Things You Can't Unhear or on my personal page at Maritza_Barone. And if someone you know will benefit from something that was said in this show, make sure you share it with them too. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and keep up to date with what's next. And if you can spare a few seconds, please rate and review the show on iTunes, just so other people can find us more easily and quickly. And as always, my friends, be happy, be healthy, be conscious, and be kind.